Yep. So, Lewis, are you still in the tournament?
I'm not. I dropped.
Okay, so Lewis dropped, but we have your friend Drew Levin versus Joshua Justice here. So Joshua Justice is on the right-hand side, and Drew Levin's on the left-hand side. Do we know these guys' records?
I would assume they're XO.
Okay, so Drew and Justice are either XO or X1, and they're battling it out.
Now, Drew Levin went with the interesting choice of the Saito sweatshirt for this event. I haven't seen anybody wear that sweatshirt except for Saito before him.
No, I've seen Drew wear that sweatshirt before. It's a standard sweatshirt that he wears.
So, like, him and Saito?
I never saw Saito wear it.
You've never seen Saito wear that. Saito wore that sweatshirt at literally, like, every event for, like, 2 years.
Oh, okay. All right, so Drew Levin fetches a land with the Polluted Delta, and he also dropped a turn 1 Mox Opal, it looks like.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's Affinity.
No,
I assume he's like an Enlightened Tutor.
Yeah, he's like...
Red Jace, Enlightened Tutor control.
Yeah, I actually played against Drew Levin last week on my way to top 4 with Team Italia.
David Gerhardt designed the deck.
David Gerhardt? All right. Lewis seems to know a lot about what's going on with Drew. Lewis, hop in here for a second.
I have a draft open on 30.
Oh, he's got a draft open. Lewis is big time and everybody on SCG Live for a draft open. That's fine, though. All right, so Brainstorm is still getting resolved. And it looks like he passes the turn to Josh. Let's see what Josh is going to come out with.
Josh plays an island.
And he
starts
ponders.
Out with a ponder.
What do you think he's playing?
I'm not sure.
Is he playing High Tide, do you think? I can see a High Tide.
I see a Time Spiral, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So it looks like High Tide versus a Thopter Foundry type Tezzeret deck. So we'll combo
I'd have to
win.
give the advantage to the High Tide deck.
Yeah,
High Tide
yeah.
is incredibly strong against control decks.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with Drew not having much discard, if any.
Definitely doesn't look good for Drew. I think he has at least a set of counterbalances in his board, though.
Yeah. All right. So upkeep, he's going to Enlightened Tutor. Let's see what he's going to go get. A Seat of the Cyanide. Probably means that he's a little Manalite or those cards that he put back with Brainstorm he didn't want.
It also gets him closer to turning on the Mox Opal, so in a lot of ways it's like getting 2 lands.
Definitely. That's definitely a good call.
Competitors, we are ready to go. And you will notice the Draft Open Pairings board has your table number on it. When you get to your table, you will see a slip of paper with your name and your seat.
All right, so Drew will be drawing the Seat of Cyanide this turn.
Corresponding to your name and number and sit in that seat. Do not open the product for any reason.
And
Okay.
he plays a Seat of Cyanide and a Brainstorm.
What he really wants here is like a top. That would be ideal.
Yeah, top would be really good right here. And he passes a turn to Josh. Josh is going to try to...
Sculpt his hand a little more.
Exactly, yeah. And he's probably going to try to set up to go off maybe like turn 4, turn 3, turn 4.
Playing against a control deck, I don't think there's any rush.
Yeah, he can wait it out. He can maybe try to do like an end of turn Cunning Wish, go get something he needs, and then maybe turn 4 go off or something, turn 5. All right.
Yeah, when playing against control, I generally I wait to the last possible moment. I don't even mind just meditating for a card draw.
So is that a Thopter Foundry?
It is a Thopter Foundry.
All right, so Drew plays a Thopter Foundry.
That's a nice Mirage island right there.
It is. The palm tree. I like it.
It's my favorite one.
So Josh draws a card. And, I mean, Drew looks to be in serious trouble right here. He missed the land drop. The Mox kind of helps out with that, but...
Yeah, I mean, he still has access to 3 mana, but...
Yeah. All right, there's a Merchant Scroll. So it looks like Josh is going to go off next turn. He'll probably will be fetching a High Tide, I'm guessing.
It depends what's in his hands.
Oh, wow, Force of Will. All right, so maybe he has all he needs. He has a Time Spiral. He probably has a High Tide already. So he might just
That's got to just be really bad for Drew then.
Yeah, definitely. And then Josh passes the turn. All All right, so Drew assembles the combo, but Josh doesn't really care about the combo.
Yeah.
He's probably just gonna brain freeze Drew right out of the game one. That's what High Tide usually does. They'll either try to brain freeze you. They'll try to
Blue Sun's enough to make you draw your whole deck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't care how much life you gain because they're just gonna beat you by decking you.
Yep.
All right, so Drew shuffles Josh's deck, and here comes a big turn. So you guys don't want to miss this because Josh will be going off. If he doesn't go off, I'll be surprised.
I don't know. I really don't think it's. I really don't think it's necessarily go off time.
Oh, you don't think so? You think he should wait?
I mean, he could if he wanted to. Like, High Tide is a deck where it's significantly easier to go off the more lands you have in play. Like, trying to go off with like 4 lands is you just have to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's see. Plays land number 4 in the form of a Scalding Tarn, and he must have heard you and took your advice, and he's gonna wait a turn before going off.
I mean, you kind of like your deck is set up so it can like dangerously go off with like 3 lands so that you can beat the aggro decks when you're on play, or I mean when you're on the draw. But it's to be absolutely safe with it, especially against control decks when you're gonna have to pitch things to force. You really want like 5 lands in play.
All right, so Drew plays top, swings in for 2 damage with a token and the sword attached to it, and passes the turn. So Josh fetches a island, and it looks as though he does have land number 5 in his hand as well. And we'll see if this is a turn he goes off or not. Draws for the turn.
Let's see.
Plays land number 5. Jake,
This
what do you
could
think?
just be it.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going for it. Yeah,
All
there
right,
it is.
High Tide number 1. So he could have access to 8 mana. And I think they're already counting the storm count.
Yep. Drew takes out a pad.
So he's got 2 mana in his pool. Wow, is that another High Tide?
It is another High Tide.
All right, so it's going to be 4, 7, 10. He's going to have 10 mana?
Yep, 10 mana.
What is this? That's a meditate, right?
Yep.
All right, so Josh is going to draw 4 cards. He's given Drew an extra turn, but there's a good chance Drew will never see
that extra turn.
Yeah, won't be able to take that extra turn. Yeah, and Josh has forced backup, so if Drew tries to force anything right now, it's not going to work.
Josh also has multiple what is it? Force of Wills in hand. And,
Oh, he actually has 2?
Yeah. Now when he spirals, it's basically like.
All right, there's.
Oh, is that a candelabra?
Yeah, it is. So he's going to go up to something like 15 mana. He's going to have access to right now.
Yeah, like Infi.
Yeah, this is all but over for Drew right now. This game at least. It's Josh just going to time spiral. He's going to turn about. He's gonna have a lot of mana in his pool. After the time spiral resolves, I wouldn't be surprised if he has upwards of 30, 40 mana.
Yeah, this is just.
Because he has another turnabout. All right, how much mana does he have, Jake? Been paying attention enough?
15 if it taps it again.
11, so 26, 37.
50. No.
No, I think 37.
Close.
Yeah,
37.
Yeah, I think he has 37 mana in his pool. And all right, so time spiral with 31 mana floating. I think I could be way off, but it seems about right. I think he's to untap his lands. Yeah. This is really ridiculous. So, I mean, Drew pretty much needs Josh to draw 7 lands here.
No. So what can happen here for Drew is Drew can draw a hand with multiple Force of Wills, or a hand with like a single Force of Will, when Josh doesn't have like Merchant Scroll or Cunning Wish for like a Pact of Negation, and Drew can actually like cut Josh's combo up like mid combo. So this is how the like Force of Will decks like sometimes randomly get wins against the High Tide decks. Like if Josh doesn't have a way to protect his Time Spiral and doesn't really have enough card draw in his new hand, and Drew has Force, Drew can just get him.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. See the 7 new cards that each player will draw.
It's not likely. Very, very unlikely.
Yeah, I mean,
Josh has 30-something mana.
right now it's probably 95% in Josh's favor.
I'd say, yeah, if not more.
Okay.
No.
All right. Let's see a 7. Maybe we can take a peek. I see a Candelabra. Doesn't really help. I see a Ponder. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, any type of card draw is good here for Josh. And, I mean, if Josh also doesn't shuffle his deck and just decides to keep it, that means he's definitely has something that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah,
so,
he kept it.
he kept it, so probably something pretty good.
It's a brainstorm.
Gets to draw 3 more.
Is that a Mind Over Matter? That's it. That's it. Game
What does
over.
Mind Over Matter actually do?
It's 6 mana. You can discard a card from your hand to untap a permanent, or
Oh, okay.
tap or untap a permanent. So, your lands like generate mana, and every single card becomes a ritual, and you have like Stroke of Genius effects.
Yep.
So, like once you get Mind Over Matter, the game's just over.
Yeah.
You can untap
Oh, wow,
Candelabra.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he can discard a card and create like 40 mana.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. All right,
By
so
40, I mean 15, but still.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's. Oh, does Josh just pass the turn? Wow, it looks like Josh just had to pass the turn.
Wow.
Wow, this is crazy. All right, so it looks like Josh just completely whiffed.
And now he can't even do anything now at all.
I mean, he can make some mana, a little mana. Not really, yeah. That was pretty bad for him. I see a Force in his hand. I can't really imagine his other cards.
And Mind Over Matter doesn't even like do anything anymore.
Yeah, he had Ponder and Brainstorm. So we'll see what happens. So Drew makes 1 more guy, it looks like. And he's going to take his turn with the 7 new cards.
So things look pretty good for Drew right now.
All right, Drew plays Academy Ruins. Drew, it looks that Drew does have a Force Will in his hand. And he's going to use the top. Yeah. And also, Drew, remember, has 2 turns.
Yep.
So somebody seems pretty happy that the combo player fizzled and tweeted that in. So Force of Will gets met by another Force of Will. And Tezzeret is in play. Okay, so Tezzeret's in play.
Jeez.
And with 2 turns, it looks like Drew's going to be able to kill the...
yeah.
Yeah, all
Just
right.
kill his opponent. That's it.
All right. So actually that dice has a number 3 on it. He was able to make 3 guys because of the Tundra.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for tweeting that in. It's tough to see the dice. They really need Rashad tokens. I don't know what's going on with no Rashad tokens.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset about it.
A lot of people only watch SCG Live for Rashad tokens. All right, Rashad is currently looking for them for everybody at home. So it would be a big help here for us. So remember, with High Tide, all islands will produce an extra blue. And like I said before, a Tundra is both a plains and an island. So we got 3 mana off that. So Drew is now taking the 2nd turn. And Josh is just trying to figure out if he could live, what exactly is going on. He's on 15 because he took 5 from the Tezzeret.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just going to ultimate Tezzeret and kill him. Yeah, ultimate you. The game's over.
Yeah. No, well, he is...
No, the game's just over.
Yeah. Okay, so... Oh, I'm sorry. He took 5 from the... Yeah, exactly. Tezzeret was yeah.
You just ultimate.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
a lot more. Okay, so...
A lot of damage.
Drew Levin takes game 1, with Josh getting pretty unlucky there. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how these guys sideboard.
Yeah, Josh got really unlucky there.
Yeah, he did. It's normal when you're drawing 7 cards, you're thinking, I'll probably draw Meditate.
What
I'll
did he
probably
pitch
draw
to
Cunning
force
Wish.
that he has still had in his hand at the end of that?
Drew Levin?
Josh.
Josh
Do
is
we know?
hard cast the Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he had 5 mana and just hard cast the Force. So I'm not sure how these guys are going to sideboard. I'm sure Drew has something in his sideboard against combo, and I'm sure he's realizes he got pretty lucky to win that game. So we have Drew Levin on the left, Joshua Justice on the right. Both these guys, I believe, are 4-0. And this is the Star City Games Legacy Open in Charlotte, North Carolina. Definitely really good.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Van Lunen, here with Gerard Fabiano, and we're covering round 5 of the Legacy Open series here. So far today, we've seen Colosso Fuentes. He hasn't dropped a game yet. He's playing a very interesting Nightstill deck. We've seen Kenny Meyer. He's battling with Battle of Wits, and he was 2-1. Do we know if he won the last round?
Yeah, Kenny Meyer is 3-1.
Oh, nice. So
And
Kenny Meyer's 3-1 with Battle of Wits at this point.
And I told Ken Adams if Kenny Meyer is 5-1, we're going to feature him again, because everybody was so excited to see Battle of Wits.
Oh yeah, I mean,
3-1's pretty good with the Battle of Wits deck.
I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, even
Like, you're bringing a 250 card deck to a Legacy tournament, and you're 3-1.
yeah, it's good.
Like, I've done worse with like real decks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 3-1 is just good in general. So we'll see what happens in this match, though. We have High Tide, very popular deck, probably the most dominant combo deck in Legacy right now against Drew Levin's Thopter Control Tezzeret deck. Who do you think's favored, Jake? You said earlier that Josh is favored. Do you think he's still favored being down a game?
I think so. It's you really beat control decks badly as High Tide. You can just like meditate and give them an extra turn and stuff, and it just doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it
Your
definitely
deck's
makes
just
sense.
really strong. Like the only thing that I'd rather play against this High Tide is like decks with like a lot of discard spells, because like the spiral just resets all of it. It's like,
All right, so both these guys are shuffling up for game 2. And Justice would be on the play. I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes. Is that a different usually in combo decks, that being on the play or the draw, or what? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm interested to see how these players sideboard. In general, it's interesting to watch High Tide decks do that. High Tide decks are, very streamlined. Like, all the cards in the deck are so important that it becomes really hard to take cards out. And you often see players having very high game 1 win percentages and like not doing well post board because they end up neutering their deck.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely reasonable. I'm still thinking that Josh is the favorite here. He got very unlucky game 1. He showed how powerful his deck can be, and he just managed to draw 7 cards that weren't really, too effective. And then after a ponder and a brainstorm, no other help.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but sometimes, it just happens that way.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think most High Tide decks play Mind Over Matter, do they?
Most lists I've seen have 1 or 0. A lot of the time they have, I don't know, it's not as rare as it used to be.
Okay.
Alex Hatfield had it in his deck when he won the Legacy Open in Jersey.
All right, yeah. Because I played against, I forgot who it was, pretty much in one of the later rounds last week, and I did not see a Mind Over Matter from him.
It's a 1-of also. So
Okay, yeah, maybe that's why. So, looks like 2 of the players are having some table talk. I'm not sure how long that game 1 took, but I think these guys probably have enough time to finish the match.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if you're playing control decks against long demonstration combo decks, you can still have matches that finish on time if both people play at a reasonable pace and aren't mulling over every little thing.
Yeah. All right, so Josh is looking at his 7 cards, and he decides to keep. All right, and Drew will keep as well. I believe. Yep, okay, so turn 1 Misty Rainforest from Josh. Immediately cracks it. He's going to go fetch up an island. This deck has all islands,
Yeah,
so it doesn't have to worry about Wasteland.
completely wasteland proof.
Yep,
That's pretty cool.
I'm surprised it doesn't play back to the basics in the sideboard.
Yeah, you know, that's a pretty good point. I'm sure that the issue though is that like back to basics doesn't really
Help you get a combo.
yeah, and I mean it doesn't really like you're not going to interact with your opponent's stuff that they've already put on the table. So like preventing them from putting more of it onto the table isn't really that awesome.
All right, so Josh now has access to 2 island, and he played a turn 1 Candelabra.
Yeah, so
What
he's
is
going to
Josh-
fetch out that
yeah.
island, and then
What is he looking to do here? Maybe play a Merchant Scroll?
Merchant Scroll, Ponder,
Something to-
Brainstorm, basically just
yeah.
general hand sculpting.
All right, that's good. That's good. And he plays Merchant
Yeah,
Scroll.
Merchant Scroll. Perhaps going to grab a High Tide, maybe a Force, perhaps a Time Spiral.
And Drew just has a Flooded
Pact of
Strands.
Negation.
Pact of Negation. Wow. All right, awesome.
So Josh looks poised to do it again. Go off
Yeah.
very early.
All right, so Drew's gonna fetch up probably a Tundra, and also play an Enlightened Tutor. What is he gonna Enlightened Tutor for?
Counterbalance, I assume?
Yeah, that's reasonable. All right.
Yeah.
And it is a counterbalance.
Yeah, Counterbalance is definitely a very strong card against Josh's deck. And Josh tutoring for that Pact right there tells Drew that he most likely does not have a Force in his hand already. So Drew can cast this Counterbalance and probably get it resolved. And that's going to be pretty rough for Josh, actually.
All right, so Polluted Delta will go get an Underground Sea, and Counterbalance will come down for Drew Levin. Drew gives his deck a little bit of a shuffle. And maybe Josh is still thinking about what happened game 1.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But let's see if he can come back and bring it to a game 3. Oh, wow. A Dark Confidant. That's interesting. I thought he would play Counterbalance right there.
Yes, so did I.
Yeah. All right. What's up? Yeah, we saw him tutor for it. But, yeah, I'm just surprised. I guess Dark Confidant is better to play there.
I don't know. It's strange. Like Josh can just go off as if he's fighting against an aggro deck right now. Then just say like, okay, well, I hope you don't have Force. Like, here's what my deck can do. I can kill you on turn 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm a real combo deck.
All right, so Josh plays a Misty Rainforest. All right, so it's
Yeah,
going to be
so-
a preordain.
Now he's going to get to scry here. He
Yeah.
sees 2 cards, which I think he's. Now he's going to pick up his hand. think
Somebody
about it for a
tweeted
bit.
in that it's really tough for him to go off with 3 lands. It is, but it's definitely
It's possible,
Yeah,
but
so
it's very hard.
most likely he'll maybe try to go off next turn. Here's a Ponder. Maybe he's searching for a Force. Looks like maybe he does have a Force there. I'm not sure. He decides to keep all the cards with Ponder and not shuffle. So
Okay.
and draws a card. So Bob reveals a Thopter Foundry.
Which is somewhat irrelevant in this matchup.
Okay.
Bob doesn't really have a drawback anymore, which is pretty crazy.
All right, here comes Counterbalance, and Josh lets it resolve.
I think Drew has. Oh, he does not have the mana for the Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Brainstorm is very good with Counterbalance. It works as like some sort of super 1-mana counterspell when you have Counterbalance in play.
Definitely. Do you think Josh is going to try to go off this turn? Oh, wow, he's short on lands.
That's really rough. I'm surprised he kept with the Ponder then.
Yeah. Or he didn't sacrifice that Misty to not draw that card this turn and hope to draw a land.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
He made me nervous. Feature match.
I don't know. I mean, I've never played. I only played against this high tide deck once, so he probably knows a lot more than me.
It's true.
And Dark Confidant's coming in for 2 more damage. Now, unlike a deck like Ad Nauseam, high tide doesn't really care about how low it gets.
Yeah, high tide can just, you know, go off from 1 life. The old school high tide decks, solidarity decks, used to actually win on their opponent's turns. People would like just wait till the very last minute, right before their opponent killed them, was when they went for it.
All right, maybe Josh needed that card. Like he needed 2 of those cards, so he couldn't
It might have been
sacrifice
like
the
maybe like a
Misty.
time spiral or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. But Drew played a Thopter Foundry on his turn, and we have an end of the turn Cunning Wish. Let's see if Drew does anything, or just lets it resolve.
I'd probably let it resolve.
I mean, he has a counterbalance. He could do it for free, right?
Oh yeah, you might as well just trigger the balance.
Did he miss it?
What?
It looked like, did Drew just miss the counterbalance?
Did he? I guess he just missed it because he definitely did not trigger it.
Yeah. Seems weird. Does he know that card on top? He would not know that card on top.
No, he has no idea.
All right.
He's gonna have to reveal for Confidant too, so it's a 3. It's pretty awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many 3s he has in his deck.
It doesn't seem like he'd have too many, and most of them would get sided out here anyway.
Maybe
Cards like Bridge and things like that aren't going to get played unless
Yeah.
like he intends on keeping them in, specifically as a 3-drop for his counterbalance.
Is it possible he has no 3s in his deck?
It's unlikely.
There's a top.
Top. It's a good one.
Did he ever spin a top?
No, he hasn't had a top in play yet.
Yeah.
Like that's a
So-
raw dog to top.
Maybe he has no 3-drops in his deck.
Maybe.
Yeah, here comes top.
Maybe his only 3-drops are Bridges or something. Starring Bridge.
Yeah, and Confidant gets in again for 2 points of damage.
I think it's going to be pretty hard for Josh now, but
You don't really know what Josh's plan is.
yeah, now that he has the top and balance assembled. I mean, his plan is an Iat wipe away.
He wants to wipe away the counterbalance
Yes.
and then just try to go off somehow. I feel like Josh still needs more mana. Like 3 islands isn't going to do too much. Oh wow, that's 2 counterbalance.
And you see, that's exactly what he needed to do. It's a really tight play from Drew. Drew knows now I have a 1 on top of my deck, which makes it impossible for this high tide deck to go off. And his whole plan was to wipe away my counterbalance to get it off the table. But now he can't wipe it away.
Back in the day, people used to play Rushing River. That wouldn't be too good here because you had to sacrifice a land to kick it.
Yeah.
And Rushing River could get countered.
Yes, so for those of you wondering, Rushing River is 2 colorless and 1 blue mana.
Josh played Ponder, but he knew Drew had a 1 on top.
Yeah. That, maybe he thought that he saw that Drew missed the counterbalance trigger earlier. Maybe he thought that Drew might miss it again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I like it. So what card were you explaining?
I was Rushing River. It's 3 mana, 2 colorless and a blue, instant. Returns a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and you can kick it by sacrificing a land, and then you can return up to 2 non-land permanents back to their owner's hands.
Do you think that type of card would be good in the sideboard over, say, like an Echoing Truth?
He probably has one.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's like a pretty common one of. I'm not sure right now if that's true, but when I've seen the deck, like various like iterations since the unbanning of Time Spiral, that's like a pretty common sideboard staple. Like a good Cunning Wish target. You have the extra space because you can't really sideboard much.
So yeah, so Josh did get an Echoing Truth, so he could bounce both the counterbalances because they have the same name.
Yes, they do.
But I mean, it still looks really bad for Josh.
That's why it's always good to get your cards in different languages.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. That doesn't work. For those
All right, so Drew sets up the top of his library.
And it's rough for Josh because, I mean, Drew's just going to leave a 2 somewhere in the top 3 cards.
Yeah, Josh just needs more lands. If he had more lands, he could do something like Echoing Truth and wipe away in response. Something along those lines, but the way it is now, it just looks really bad for Josh. Alright, so Josh goes to the discard step, but Drew says, don't discard yet because I want to do some end of turn effects.
Yep.
Once a discard step happens, you can't do anything. So back in the day, people used to say, I declare my discard step, even if they only had 1 card in their hand. And if the other guy said okay, you wouldn't be able to do anything. I think that rule might still exist.
I believe it does. Marcio Carvalho did that to me at Worlds.
Okay.
But I stopped him. He said discard step, and then I cast a Mendelian Click. At which point he called the judge and said that he said discard step before I cast it, as if it was a race to...
Which is not. So in the meantime, Drew plays a Aethersworn Canonist, making things a lot more difficult for Josh. It seems like Drew's deck is definitely built to beat combo.
Yeah, post-board, this seems really strong, actually. Surprising to me. I've seen High Tide decks play against various control decks, and High Tide is generally very heavily favored in this matchup. They can wait a long time, use Meditate, things like that, and grind out an advantage in a long-term game. But, here Drew has assembled Counterbalance top. Josh had to use Cunning Wish to grab a wipe away, and Drew was able to find another copy of Counterbalance, which he resolved and put Josh in a really awkward spot.
So Josh played the wipe away on the Aethersworn Canonist on Drew's end step, and this is pretty much Josh's last turn for him to try to go off, and it doesn't look promising.
Yeah, it's not like promising at all. So, let's see. I mean, going off 3 lands is pretty tough. That being said, going off with 3 lands when your opponent has a top in play, it's just about impossible. So Drew's going to Brainstorm in response to this High Tide, and what he's going to do with that is he's going to use that and put a 1 and a 2 back on the top of his library. This will make sure that he can consistently counter the Echoing Truth, the Echoing Truth and the High Tides. So when he puts the 1 back on top here, it'll counter the High Tide. I think it's a Brainstorm. It's an Enlightened Tutor. All right, so Josh's High Tide gets countered by the Counterbalance trigger.
This tells you what table back there to
He's
go
tanking
to
a bit again.
Construction. For example, if you were in seat 3 and it says table 8, you will go to build seat table 8 back there near the pairings board. You will have
Josh simply passes the turn. Drew decides to activate his top, and
this is where you will turn in your deck list
what
when
does he
you're
see
complete
there?
with it.
Well, I mean, he wants to leave the 1 and the 2 within the top cards. Making a mistake like leaving one of those out is generally a pretty rough thing. I'm actually surprised that he did not activate his top prior to his draw step, but after the Dark Confidant trigger. I'd like to make sure that I have a 1 and 2 on the top of my library at all times.
Yeah, so Drew plays the Aethersworn Canonist once again, and I think end of turn Justice is going to try to... It's just really bad for Justice.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
There is no Justice.
And Justice is down to 7, so he's facing lethal next turn.
Yeah. The Thopter Foundry can just straight up kill him out of nowhere now.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like Drew's going to be taking this match down. and one step closer to top 8.
Yeah, it's always rough to watch a. All right, so he packed the negations. The other Sworn Canonist.
I don't understand. He's gonna have to pay 5 mana, right? For the pack?
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? High Tide or something?
I guess so. Yes.
All right, there's High Tide, and he's just gonna spin top. All right, that's game. So Drew Levin takes down the match versus Josh Justice. I'm gonna go find Corey McDuffie, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna play his deck that we just talked about, deck. So I'll be right back.
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Now.